Dale duro, bang. Dale duro, bang.
305 with champions rise. Come on.
Professional fighter, not just a boxer or jiu-jitsu guy, because a martial artist has a code, and he lives by that code, and he acts in that code. You know, he has the samurai code, and you've shown that through your career, and I'm so happy you've been successful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit, what made that warrior? What made the Colombian warrior? Where are you from? Where are your people from?
Well, I was born in New York. You know, I was born in Queens, New York. My parents are Colombian. They were born in Colombia. When I was like 5 years old, I left we came to Miami because we moved from New York to Miami. I guess change of weathers. We had an uncle that was staying in Miami, and he talked about the weather, how great Miami was. So we all just moved to Miami. By the time I was 7, I left to Colombia to meet my father, because my dad was living in Colombia. They were separated from my mom. And that's when I went to Colombia, and I stayed there for like 7 more years. Because I was supposed to just go and come back. And I stayed there for like 7 years, from 7 to 14. I'll say Colombian warrior was born since, like, you know, I was always a little, to be honest, like, it's funny because, you know, you could think back a little as much as you can, but I get stories from my sisters, my mom, and everybody tells me how much I used to fight in school. Because I know I did. Just didn't know how much I did, and they just told me all the time, you always used to fight with this, fight with that, or you always argue, fight over this. So I guess fighting was always part of my DNA.
Yeah, your DNA.
And growing up, always watch Japanese animation, which is like always fighting, like Dragon Ball Z, with stuff like that. I've always been a fan.
But you know what I like about that? It's always fighting, but it has a mission. It has a philosophy.
Of course.
And it has like that
messages.
That messages in that code. Correct. Yes. What part of Colombia are your people from?
Bogota. Well, my dad was born in Tolima, but he was raised in Bogota. My mom was born in Bogota and raised in Bogota.
Excellent. One of our camera guys, one of our students, Camilo, he's from Bogota. My wife is Santa Marta. And you know, I think, you know, the 305, lo que a mí me encanta el 305, okay? Colombia, Nicaragua, Santo Domingo, puertorriqueño, el Caribe, Centro Suramérica. There's that... you could say that Latin blood. And I think the Latin blood has that warrior blood inside it. And I think that's what runs inside of us. I think that's what makes South FLA, the 305, and all the fighters coming out of there that exciting and that warrior thing. Let me ask you, as a child, when did you get interested in martial arts and combat sports?
Well, as a kid, I did like karate a lot because before I left to Colombia, I used to see, I had like, some cousins that was doing karate. And then, you know, I actually thought karate was the way you're supposed to learn how to fight. Like, that's the way it goes. When I went to Colombia, I never really saw anything because all you do there is play soccer. That's all you do. But I used to watch a lot of old school movies because that's, you know, I grew up in the 90s. So I grew up a lot with Jean-Claude Van Damme. All Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, I used to watch him, and I used to think he was the baddest guy ever. You know what I mean? I thought he was a badass. I watched all the movies. I saw Bruce Lee, I saw Jackie Chan, all that stuff. But to me, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I thought he was like the best fighter ever. And when I got here, boxing was hot. Oscar de la Hoya at the time was fighting Felix Trinidad, and you know, boxing was hot at the time. It was really hot. Martial arts was not hot yet, and I went to a boxing gym one time, tried out a class. It was okay. I liked it, but I didn't join in. I just didn't. When MMA popped out, that's when I was 19 years old. I was like, "Oh, this is different, and this is everything. It's punches, it's ground, it's everything. It's what a fight really is. It's mixed martial arts. It's everything."
Yeah, you know, I think that's why it's so expanding around the world. It's number one. It's going to expand more because it's side dynamic. For me, I'm a martial arts, and I like martial arts like self-defense, the real deal. Yes. This is the sport that gets closest to the real deal. Yes. Now, you said something. Isn't it crazy that the media influenced you as a young man and inspired you? And that's why I wanted to have you. Because now you're in the media. Yes. Now you're in the spotlight. Yes. So believe it or not, no pressure. That's the truth. Young people, fighters, even in 305 fights, they're going to be looking to you now. So now is the opportunity. And this is where we have a platform to inspire and motivate the fighters of the future.
Yes, sir.
Because now you're the Van Damme of the present, you know? Yeah, and you know, it's great because you have a great story. I've seen you put the time, energy, and effort and how you rose to the toppest level UFC fight, debut, and you won.
Thank you.
You know, congratulations, and keep doing that job, and that's what we're here for. By the way, much respect to your team. What is your team?
MMA Masters.
Excellent. Much respect to MMA Masters. All the schools, everybody that's out there promoting the martial arts. Let me ask you a question. As a professional in the UFC, how was it to get into the toppest of UFC and compete in the UFC?
It was great. It was great. You know, I have a little story. I always, I given the story. I told a few people. When I went to Vegas around 23 years old, because I went with a couple of cousins, we went, you know, we just passed by Vegas and we stopped at a casino. Bruce Buffer was there. We ran into Bruce Buffer. My cousin, she wanted a picture with him, so she took a picture with him. So she's like, oh, I have a cousin, he fights. You know, at the time I was 4-1, you know, and he's like, oh, let's, you know, he takes a picture with me and he's like, oh, so where you fight? I'm like, oh, I'm from Miami. We had a little conversation, like very brief. And he's like, oh, you know, hope one day I'll announce your name on the octagon, you know? And I was like, all right, thank you. And 10 years later, it actually happens.
Wow.
So that to me, I tell people all the time, I'm like, a lot of moments while I was over there in Vegas, in the Apex, those are moments. But the biggest moment to me is when I did see Bruce Buffer right in the middle of the cage, saying my name, pointing at me, because I was like, oh, man, he's seen millions of people. He doesn't remember me at all. For sure, he doesn't remember me. But one day I'm going to tell him about that story. I don't know. Let's see if he remembers. He said that to someone in a casino one time, a young kid. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, but see, those are the moments that you, believe it or not, we're creating.
Yeah.
And this is a topic I wanted to talk about. In 305, we have a platform for combat athletes, for entertaining, for people to create. And one of the things that we were talking about, that we are now in a state in our society that we need to inspire people. Yeah. That they, you know, I know that you've had a tough road and you made it happen, but you know what? You can make it happen. You can create it. So to me, my mission statement, my mission today was to stay focused and to do something about it. And that's a perfect example. You were focused on a vision, and you saw that vision, and then you put that together with all the time, energy, and effort that you put in together. I mean, I saw you when you would bring fighters to 205 Fights and our show. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Coaching, training, working, fighting as a professional in the leagues to get to the UFC. So you had the focus, and then you put the work behind the focus. Would you say that's what it takes?
Yes. To me, I believe I could have been in the UFC earlier in my career, but I was not as disciplined as I am now. I've always been very, like, my coaches have always guided me through my career, but there's just like even a good son sometimes doesn't listen to his father. It just happens. You know, sometimes, you know, as much as they raise you to do right, you go out there and make mistakes. You go out there and meet the wrong people. You go out there and just waste some time. And I did that sometimes. In my middle to late 20s, I was wasting some time. I felt like I would train hard. You know, I always train. The one thing I always say is I'm a martial artist. I'm always gonna improve my craft. But when it came down to get ready for a fight, I would train, but I felt like I wasn't as focused and disciplined. Discipline is the number one, is the key. And when I mean discipline, it means not just showing up to the gym for attendance. Because I knew my coaches would not let me fight if I'm not training. But sometimes the level of focus was not there. Like, I'll be at the gym, you saw me there every day, but the level of focus, I was more wait till as soon as the class was over, I'll get my phone, get my stuff, and leave.
Right.
Nowadays, I stay there and I do extra work. I do extra, you know what I mean?
Yes.
The level of focus, you know, when you're young, you get distracted with a lot of things outside of the cage, outside of the gym. You get distracted, friends, girls, family, just many things that could get you distracted outside of the gym. And that's what was happening. Well, the moment I buttoned up and I said, no, I'm getting older, and I knew that. Well, that's when I was 29 is when I told myself, I'm about to reach my 30s, and I haven't touched the UFC yet. I'm not even in conversations to be there. What's going on? And that's when I literally buttoned up and I just.
But you know what I think? I think those experiences make you the warrior you are today.
Yes,
because I think now you have a experience and a perspective that is actually, because, you know, not only did you get from the 305 Dade County to the UFC after 2 weight cuts, that we're going to talk about that, but you won and you look great, and it was a tough fight. It was a good fighter. And I think that this is what's going to help you in the future. That what we're saying, the staying focused and putting the plan and action, time, energy, and effort. Let me ask you, for all the pro fighters out there that want to be in UFC and want to be winning in the UFC, what do you think is the most important thing in training or in doing to achieve those goals?
You know, it's the level of focus. That's what I keep saying. It's the level of focus. You just gotta be focused and believe. You have to believe. You know, I feel like I was very, of course, I used to be called a prodigy when I was younger. I'm not a prodigy anymore. I'm older. You know, nobody calls a prodigy a 33-year-old. You know what I mean? I think that's your nickname. When I was growing up, I was people would tell me how talented I was, and people would tell me, and there was always expectations every time I performed, and I believed in it, but I feel like I believed in it more as I got older. You know what I mean? I believed in it, but I feel like I don't know. Like as I got older, I really kind of like talked about it a lot more.
You sharpened the image more.
Yes, exactly. That's actually that's like the perfect word to say. Yeah, I sharpened the image more. Like I really, as I got older and I was winning and I knew I was getting closer to open that door, I kept talking about it. Like I'll talk to people, I'll be like, no, when I make it to a UFC, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say if, I'll say when I make it to a UFC. You know what I mean? And I kept talking about it. And I'll talk to my students a lot about like, no, because you know, guys, I'll tell them sometimes like I want to train you guys to a point where one day I won't be in your corner because I'm probably in the UFC fighting and you guys are fighting over here locally the same week. You know what I mean? But I'll talk like that. Like I'm going to be there one
And
day.
if I can interject,
happen.
So you've polished the focus, but you've always, because I've seen you always put the time, energy, and effort and the work behind the focus.
No, you have to.
You got to do it. You got to get up and do it. You got to put the plan of action into it. You always back it up with actions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important that, you know, as we're motivating, inspiring, and educating, communicating to people, is that they don't let anything distract you and put the actions behind your word.
Yes.
Now, talk to me about that part about the training to be a top athlete. Like you had to do 2 weight cuts. How was that?
Okay. So 2 weight cuts was the worst thing I did. I swear, man. Like of course, couldn't back out from it.
That's your opportunity.
It was
Yeah.
the opportunity. You know what I mean? I had this opportunity before. They called me one time for 24. It was when they went to Jacksonville. When UFC went to Jacksonville in May, they called me and they're like, "How much you weigh?" My manager calls me. I'm like, "Oh, I'm weighing 175." Because I was getting ready to fight at 55 for combate, but it didn't happen. Combate ended up pushing it. So they were like, "Oh, Danny, because we're looking for somebody for tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, I cannot lose 28 pounds in one day." So, okay, it didn't happen. They gave the opportunity to somebody else. They found a spot. And I kept thinking, man, was that my only shot? Like, it was a 24-hour shot, but was that my only? Because like I said, I'm looking at myself as a 33-year-old. And I'm like, was that my only opportunity? I just let it go. I didn't try to lose those 28 pounds, but whatever. Then, boom, this one is 2-week notice. I'm like, bro, I could lose 20. It was going to be 26. I'm like, 2 weeks, I could lose 26, and I just came from a fight, so I was still, like, in good shape. And the good thing is I didn't fight for that long. My fight lasted a minute and 20-something seconds, or 2 minutes and 20-something seconds. I know, 2 minutes and 20-something seconds. In the first round, I got to knock him out, and then I got to walk out with no injuries. No, we didn't wrestle. We didn't go 4 or 5 rounds of wrestling because your body gets beat up.
Yeah, it was no traumatic. Yeah,
Nothing. So when to make this weight cut wasn't that hard. But the thing is that I didn't know I was gonna fight. So that week and a half after my title fight, all I did was eat and relax and rest. So I went back to the gym. By the time I was back to the gym, and thank God I was already like 3 days back in the gym, already sweating, like burning all those calories that I have ate since the day of the fight. And they told me, okay, Danny, you're fighting in 2 weeks. And making that weight cut wasn't, it was the hardest weight cut I say because, like I say, it had to be from the previous weight cut that hurt me. But when to bring the 172 to 145, when I reached the 158 to 160, I was already feeling like dry.
dehydrated.
And and that's not normal me. I normally feel that at 52, 51. I know, I've done it for so long,
Yeah.
what pounds you start feeling certain ways. You already know, okay, when I'm at 55, I feel this way. But I was at 158 and I'm like, why am I feeling thirsty? Like I shouldn't be feeling thirsty yet. And I was. That means that the weight cut was rough.
Right.
And when I was there, they gave me a portable sauna. They gave us a room. They
Oh,
give you, they
wow.
give you a room for yourself, for you and your coach, but they give you a room for you to go train. They give you mats, and they have a portable sauna for you. The portable sauna was in the I don't know if it was in the hot or my body didn't want to sweat no more. But I'll be in it for 10 minutes, not even one drip, nothing. I have to go outside and run outside. Vegas is hot. It's dry heat.
Dry heat, yes.
So you're breathing as you're running. You're like, oh,
Desert
you can't
heat.
breathe right. You can't breathe right. But I had to get the sweat out, and that's the only way. I had to run. I was able to make the weight. I was 145.8, and the good thing is that they had scales there in the hotel. They had scales, professional scales, so you don't have to use yours, because everybody's scales over
Yeah,
there,
it's
they're
off.
No, they have the professional scale. That's the same scale they're gonna use over there.
Excellent.
At the Apex, so it was cool. So as soon as I weigh in, I was fine. My problem was that after the weigh-ins, people didn't know that, but I started cramping a lot.
Oh yeah, of
So I
course.
was that dehydrated.
Yeah.
My fingers, like I guess because in the face off, I kind of like made some. Face,
Yes, yes.
And like after that, I was like my fingers were cramping, and I would drink a lot of water, and then my groin started cramping a little bit. And
How
my
about your
hamstring
feet?
was
'Cause-
no, my feet didn't cramp.
Yeah.
My hamstring and my groin was cramping.
Okay. You know what? Though? You know what I think it's helped you, and I think it's helped a lot always, and I think it's very important, is that you always are training, and you always keep training.
Yes.
There's some people that they train only for the fight.
No.
No, and you always keep training, and so this is, and I believe in that.
I trained
think
this morning.
right?
I
Because
did 5
yeah,
rounds of jiu-jitsu.
yeah, because you know what? You got to be ready for that
call.
call, or this is a craft, and you're polishing that craft.
Yes, you have to, 100%.
You mentioned your management. Who's your management?
I'm with First Round Management.
Okay.
And my manager is Antonio.
Excellent.
Antonio
Shout out
Santiago.
to First Round Management. We have a lot of management companies that we work with, all the managements in Dade County, Dodge Sports, Reach Combat. Thank you so much. Everybody is promoting and sponsoring us and helping us. Much respect and honor to you. Let's talk a little bit about the state of combat sports. We have today the UFC Fight Island, Khabib against Gaethje. What do you think about that?
Man, like, look, I only seen Khabib one time had trouble in takedowns, and that was Glacier Tibau. But Glacier Tibau was a big guy, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
But Glacier Tibau had wrestling, good wrestling, strong base. So Khabib already had trouble in that fight. Some people believe actually Tibau won the fight. I don't think so. I thought Khabib won the fight regardless, but that was the one fight that Khabib couldn't take someone down. Now, I'm not trying to talk bad about any other fight that Khabib fought after that, but that's because your craft is your craft. But I don't think he's fought a wrestler yet. Like in the last few fights, he hasn't fought a wrestler. I think this is, and Gaethje he was a Division I wrestler, but has he used it? He hasn't used it in his past fights. I don't know how sharp is Gaethje's wrestling for MMA, because I know he has it. He grew up with wrestling. He was a wrestler before he started striking. and
Yeah,
knocking
that's a
everybody
point I
out.
didn't think about it. That he's the highest decorated wrestler in the UFC, but he hasn't used it.
He doesn't use it.
And he's not going to use it with a low-level guy. He's going to use it probably with one of the highest-level guys that uses a
But
different
now
style of
but
wrestling.
Now he has to use it. Because he's going to come for the takedown. So now you're going to see Gaethje, he's going to have to use his wrestling. Defensively, may not want to use it. Offensively, may have to just use it defensively, but he's going to have to use it. Everybody that he's fought, they strike with him. And everybody that Khabib fights, they want to strike with him and stop his takedowns. Now this guy, like I said, they want to stop his takedown, but they're not natural wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they're strikers, so it's hard for them to find a way to get back up sometimes. Gaethje, the question is, to me, this is the biggest question, because anybody could get caught on a punch. Let's be honest. So let's say Gaethje just in the beginning of the fight just throw the exchange and he catches him. Anybody could get caught on a punch. But if you go with a game plan to win a fight, I think his game plan is stop the takedown. Gaethje has cardio. That's one thing people have to don't forget. Gaethje could put up a pace and keep up the pace.
Yo,
and
he trains.
He could be in a dog fight all 5 rounds. So you don't think that he's gonna just second round he's gonna shy away and get tired and just trying to run away from the fight. No, he's not. Can he stop that takedown?
Well, you said something interesting that I think Gaethje is the biggest challenge he has. I think
believe so
Gaethje
too.
has the game plan to win. His striking coach is excellent, and I like the method of him striking. So I think that's there. The only thing is, and I don't think people don't realize, because maybe they don't have the experience or the point of reference, is Khabib is so big and strong at that weight.
Yes, he is.
Can he, like you said, the wrestler he had trouble was a big, strong guy.
Exactly.
I know this sounds, but aside from the strategy, the tactics, and everybody knows the game plan that you need, does he have the physical capacity, strength to deal with Khabib's style of, because Khabib has a different style of wrestling. That's, I think, what's gonna be determining factor. If he goes through him like a middle school kid, that's gonna be a problem.
No, but the thing, I believe in Khabib. Like I believe in Khabib a lot. I never really, I don't think I never gone against him. This is the first time, because I said, people told me, oh, like, who's your money on? I'm like, my money is on Khabib, but there's this thing that tells me Justin may have the real.
Yeah. Well, look,
key
don't take me wrong. I respect Khabib because he's a warrior. I think he's like the lineage from where you're at, warriors. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But Gaethje is another warrior, and I'll be
Yes,
honest with you. If I had to put the money, I'd go for Gaethje. I like Gaethje.
I like Gaethje a lot.
Listen, I want Gaethje to win.
It's just my thing is his wrestling. It's
Yes.
Like if I would have seen at least one fight of him, one fight only,
And-
him wrestling and stuffing takedowns or getting somebody, then I'll be like, okay, I know he.
And
It's just I've never
Khabib has
seen
a
it. Never
different
seen it.
and Khabib has a different style than American wrestling.
Mhm.
It's a different style than American wrestling. He's not going to shoot one time. He's going to shoot how many times he needs to take you down, keep you on top, ground you.
Put you on that wall.
That's
wall.
that backside control against the cage. You know, like you said, if that's the puzzle to beat, if that puzzle to beat, that's it. We also have on that card, the UFC Fight Island, we have from Australia, the gentleman that's fighting there, that was the
Whitaker.
Whitaker.
Yes.
I'm interested to see how he's come back. I think he has all the physical attributes. I think he has technical, but I think his mind is what's been holding him back. What do you think about that?
Well, when he fought at Adesanya, you know, it happens. I'm a big fan of Whitaker too. Let's see. I feel Whitaker. You know, Whitaker's a very quiet guy. He doesn't really speak so much, but it sounds like when he speaks, sounds like a very smart guy. You know, I seen him fight. I think he's a smart guy too. When he fights, he's not a reckless fighter. He's a smart guy. But the guy he's facing is a very tough guy. Kanoi.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't pronounce his name, but he's big and strong. He came from heavyweight. He actually fought at
Yeah.
heavyweight, then fought at light heavyweight,
Well,
and then I
look,
at
now that you
middleweight.
mentioned about that, we're talking about the bigger guys and stronger guys. The boxing match that just happened, Teofimo Lopez against Lomachenko. I was going for Lomachenko. But, you know, Tyson Fury, who I love as a boxer, you know what he said? He says he's a heavyweight with midget legs.
Yes.
He says there's nobody at that weight because he's so big at that weight that's going to beat him. So it's going to be interesting for him to deal. What I've seen him do is that he started questioning himself. Like you could see in his mind, and you can't question yourself. You have to be all in.
Yeah, you have to believe.
Yeah. Now, really quick, because I want to summarize what's happening in the world of combat sports. We have McGregor against Poirier, number 2. What do you think about that?
Well, the reason that fight makes sense to us because what Poirier has done since he lost to him, because nobody likes seeing rematches unless it makes sense.
You think the fight's going to be different this time?
I still think McGregor was gonna win. I seen Poirier. I think Poirier is one of the toughest guys. I'm a big fan of Poirier too. I'm a big fan of Poirier. Every time I watch Poirier fight, actually you're right. Actually, you know, I went for Poirier. I forgot for Poirier fought Khabib. I was going for Poirier. That's the only time I was going against Khabib. But Poirier had him in a guillotine. He had him. It was almost close. I remember Khabib was gargling at one point.
Yeah.
You know, he got out. But Poirier, what happens to him is that Poirier has done so well since the McGregor fight that I could see where that fight could make sense and makes it interesting. I just seen the style that Poirier's been winning. It's been a lot of toughness. He's taking some shots. Like his last fight with Hooker.
Yeah,
Hooker,
that's
was a tough fight.
Yeah.
And they both took
That's what I was thinking.
punishment.
Style-wise, I don't think he has a style.
Exactly. You don't have the style to fight McGregor.
Exactly.
I don't think
You know
so.
what fighter would be interesting is McGregor and Gaethje. I think that would be.
I think it will go the same way with like Poirier. It's just that Gaethje probably is a little tougher. I
Yeah.
think he'll take a little bit more of a punch. We've seen Poirier already dropped by McGregor. I think we haven't seen that from what's it called from Gaethje.
Correct.
I think I don't think this will be a good fight for him, but I think like a very interesting fight will be Masvidal and McGregor. Because I think two strikers.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Two
Oh, I
strikers,
tell you what.
Slick strikers, slick
I'll
minded
tell you
people.
what, it's the money fight. It's the
Yes.
money. It is the money
Yes.
fight. Now, we were talking about Cyborg. Cyborg just fought in Bellator. Bellator's doing really good. Cyborg beat a real tough girl. She did really good. I like Cyborg. I'm glad that things are going good for her. We talked about boxing. Let's go back to boxing because now 305 Fights is actually covering pro and amateur boxing. We'll talk about that later. What do you think about Tyson against Roy Jones Jr.?
Ah, man, like, you know what? In this one, I'm going for Tyson. You know why? People, and not because okay, if we go back to their primes, it'll be a different story. But we're talking about right now, both of them are 50 years old. I'll go for Tyson because I gotta go. I think like as you get older, I think you could lose speed and reflex before power. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think like your hand and eye coordination, your reflex, all that as you get older, it goes away.
Oh yeah,
more
George
faster.
Foreman was an example of that. He lost a little bit of speed, but he kept.
He had power.
He had that
That's
power.
why he knocked out Michael Moore. People thought, oh, 50 years old, he's old, he's this. Yes, he was losing the whole fight. He just needed that one big punch. And it was a very sloppy, it was like one of those boom, old school punches. And he drives Michael Moore.
You know what? I think, though, what you said before, if Tyson fights the Gus D'Amato peekaboo style,
Oh, yeah.
he'll knock him out.
Yeah.
But I think if he exchange, Roy Jones Jr. is an incredible boxer. He's the only boxer in history that in one round at a professional level never got punched once. So if he does, because if Roy Jones Jr., if they go into like Roy Jones Jr. style, Roy Jones Jr.
No, of course.
But I'm
No, he's been more active.
yeah, and
he's been more active. That's the one thing I give him.
And he's in the
been
gym
more active.
training fighters.
Tyson hasn't been active for a long
and he's in
time.
the-
He's been active. Roy Jones Jr. just, if I'm not wrong, his last fight was an island fight. He boxed in island fights like about 4 years ago. But that's compared to Tyson. He hasn't fought in 15 to almost 20 years. I mean, no, like 15 years. So, you know, it's a huge difference. It's a big gap. You know what I mean? So I feel like one is more active. I just look at the style right now, and I'm like, am I going to rely? Because Tyson, you've seen Tyson, he still has speed.
Yes.
You know, he just got the power, but he still got the speed. And you've seen him move with his peekaboo, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just go over that because Roy Jones has to always pop his jab and be from the outside and be magical.
Right.
Tyson just have to come in and try to land that.
I see what you're saying, and as you get,
I feel like at that age,
I saw you at that
that's why
age
I
to
look
be
at it.
magical is tougher.
Exactly. I just feel like it's just so much harder. That's why when you're a magician, like he was, your style is not for later on and
Yes,
years.
yeah, I see.
Your style. If you're a magician like that, because he was all about speed and reflex, and especially speed. His speed was one of the things that you couldn't match. It was his speed. His technique was there.
No, but look, when you talk about speed, talking about technical now and tactical, speed has reactionary speed. What you're talking about, the timing, you know, and that gets affected. Let me change it up a little bit. Let's talk about combat sports in the South LA, Dade County, South Florida. A lot of things are happening. Yes. A lot of companies. Shout out to all the combat leagues. We have a combat leagues, but you know what? We don't hate. We appreciate. We want to participate. I respect you guys. You send me tickets. I'll be there. I'll be cheering. I'll promote it. We have, let me see, Combat Legion of Professionals just started. We saw each other at Titan. You know, you had some fighters there. Your brother was fighting in. We're going to bring him in and talk about that. Next week, we're going to have him in there. We have a lot of things going on in Dade County and South Florida. How do you see the combat sports in South Florida?
I feel like right now Miami is getting a lot of appreciation. I feel like at one point, there were always big companies, the big, like Bellator, UFC, ONE FC, all those. They were getting a lot of like California, East Coast, West Coast. They were not hitting down south so much. You know what I mean? And then ever since, you got, everybody coming out of, not only Coconut Creek, ATT Coconut Creek, then you had the Blackzilians, now you got, MMA Masters.
Yeah.
All these gyms are helping South Florida because now you see, look at everybody from the Masters that, you had at the time, Amanda, Ricardo.
You got Kobe Covington over there now.
You got Kobe, now you got, me, Rafa, Miguel, and pretty soon Santana's fighting the Contender. One of our guys is fighting the Contender November 10th.
Yeah, you have a local guy, Master Caesar, that has the other UFC. Like you said something that I want to make emphasis. You see how you're naming all these clubs and all these organizations? That's why I say that we should promote and stick together, because all of this puts the 305 on the map,
yes,
and they know.
It does.
They know this is the place where the Warriors are.
Yes, and I think that was the biggest problem, that we I feel like at one point Miami fighters didn't push to all the Miami fighters to get some
Yes.
love. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
correct.
You have to always bring the attention to where you're from. Like
Yeah.
not just bring attention to your
Correct.
academy or yourself. Bring attention like, hey, look, it's not just me. I have teammates and people from other gyms that are very good that we're from here. Just they're not getting any shine yet.
Exactly. Mira, y vamos a decirlo en español porque nosotros somos bilingües, 305, 305. También estamos hablando de estar unidos en el poder. Mira, el símbolo de nosotros es así porque hay unión. En la unión hay
señor.
poder. Los latinos tenemos que apoyarnos.
Claro.
Ahora tenemos más que nunca Colombia, Colombian Warrior, Venezuela,
Ahorita.
México,
Brasil.
mira, abrieron, la UFC va a abrir en Puerto Rico. Tenemos que apoyarnos. Tenemos un gran poder en el sur de la Florida, Centro Suramérica. Vamos a apoyarnos. Tú sabes, vamos a dejar esas... No hay diferencias.
El orgullo de ser patriota.
Sí, el
El orgullo
orgullo.
de ser patriota. Entonces, usted solo se enfoca en su patria y no se está enfocando en todo el continente. Oye, apoyemos a los, digamos, eso fue una cosa que yo sí vi cuando iba a pelear en la UFC. Que no solo fue gente de Colombia que me apoyó, fue gente de Argentina, gente de Venezuela, gente de Perú, Bolivia, Chile, Paraguay, México. Gente de todos esos países me mandaron mensajes apoyándome.
Y eso es lo que
así es que toca hacer.
Sí, y eso es lo que tenemos que hacer.
Sí.
Por eso ahora todos los latinos, centroamericanos, vamos a apoyar a Danny Chavez de Colombian Warrior. Vamos a apoyar a todos los latinos que están en el UFC, los gimnasios locales,
Sí.
las ligas locales. Vamos a comprar tickets, vamos a social media. Por ejemplo, ¿cuál es tu social media handle?
El mío es Twitter y Instagram, DWarrior875.
Exactly. So your social media handle is?
DWarrior875.
Good. The reason I'm saying it twice, and if you want to contact 305.tv, anybody comes on the show, we have to come together. Like I said, the symbol is union, and union was power. I'm excited because I think there's so many exciting things happening.
Yes.
We're doing pro boxing now. There's bare knuckle coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We
I
have
talked about
we
bare
have
knuckle.
Baboon in there in the bare knuckle thing.
With Jim Allers.
Yes.
Two friends of mine, so it's hard for me to... it's crazy. They're both of my brothers, man.
All right.
And they're facing each other. which is
Yes,
crazy.
and it's Peru and Colombia. So you know what? This is where, like we're saying, we got to help each other rise with the champions, right? Tenemos que ayudarnos a surgir donde suben los campeones. Antes de terminar esta sección y traer tu hermano, el chino y la gente tuya que vamos a apoyar, is there any shout outs to anybody that you want to give out to?
Oh, siempre, all the time. I will first things first. You know, I always want to shout out. I don't have my paper here to call out all my sponsors because my sponsors, they do their job to always provide services and help you out as an athlete, believe in you that you're gonna help them too. You know, because it's a mutual help. Sponsorship is a mutual help. Always shout out to all my sponsors. You guys know who you guys are. You know, I'm not gonna say this because I don't want to forget one, and then they get mad because I forget one. You know what I mean? My team, MMA Masters, my coaches, Daniel Valverde, Cesar Carneiro, my conditioning coach too, Jonathan. I don't know his last name, just call him Jonathan.
I would like to invite all of them to the show so
Yes,
they can
sir.
come to the show. I'm sorry to put that,
Don't worry.
but all the sponsors and vendors, shout out to you. Us too. Without them, we couldn't do it. You know what? We need more of your help. If you're interested, just call us up and we'll get you in contact. Thank you, sir.
Stanis Fit, my friend, he was actually another guy that's in charge of my strength and conditioning.
I know him also.
I want to shout out to my therapist, White Lion, Amy. She's actually been working with my injury because, you know, you train, you get injured.
Yeah,
That happens all
this
the
is a
time.
physical
This
body.
is a physical, yeah, so she's been working on me, helped me to rehab. My family and friends, they always get all the love. You know, I mean, I like to, most of the time, I give shout out first to like people involved in my career because they're
Yes.
the ones that put in more of the work. My family and friends, love them, a lot of support, a lot of energy they give me. But I always give first shout out to always my coaches and my teammates.
Yes.
They're here, they're in those mats with me most.
Correct.
You know, and my guys, my little group of warriors. You know, Justin Arteaga, he's a PFL champion right now. The former PFL champion, he's making his debut November 22nd in Titan FC.
Awesome.
Richard Mayol is another of my students too.
Shout out to Time
Alex
FC. We've been covering
Martinez.
their events.
Yes.
Awesome.
And Kevin Navas. There's 4 guys right now that I'm training, that I'm actually guiding them. You know,
Okay.
to
Are these the guys
show
that
them-
we're gonna bring in next show?
Yeah, we're gonna try to bring them. Yeah.
Good. We're gonna bring them next show. We have the Chino here. In Spanish, I just want to say, si vamos a darle una apreciación, una gracias a todo el apoyo.
Señor.
Vamos a agradecer a todos los latinos que están apoyando, que están apoyando a nosotros, que siguen apoyándonos. Gracias a tu familia. ¿Quieres decir algo a tu gente de Colombia?
Sí, siempre el apoyo colombiano siempre ha sido muy, muy apreciado para mí, porque yo he peleado por Colombia por mucho tiempo. Yo he levantado la bandera de Colombia por mucho tiempo, pero como le digo, o sea, no tenía yo la fama. Yo no tenía la fama para que me conocieran y me supieran que tenían un peleador aquí en Miami poniendo la bandera grande. Y desde mi última pelea, no he recibido nada, pero puro apoyo colombiano y me parece muy chévere. Y apoyo de mi ciudad, de Bogotá, que es donde más que todo ahorita tengo muchos seguidores de ahí. Y a toda mi gente latina, porque no solo quiero independizarme diciendo solo Colombia, no, toda la gente latina, porque como le digo, como dije hace poquito, no solo Colombia me apoya, pero me apoya Venezuela, me apoya Colombia, me apoya México, Perú, Bolivia, Ecuador, Argentina, Chile. Entonces, para mí es todo el apoyo que estoy recibiendo, lo agradezco mucho.
Muchas gracias. Eso ha sido un placer, un honor tenerte. Sí. Esta es tu casa.
Muchas gracias.
Me encanta tenerte. Eres un warrior y me estás motivando a ser mejor warrior. Thank you so much, Mr. Chavez, for coming.
Much,
we're here to be of service. Like I said, you motivate the warrior and me also, because I'm going to die being a martial artist.
You too.
So we're going to bring in your brother Chino. We're going to go to a break.
Yeah.
With 305, Dade County, 305, Mansour Camiones. DJ Fate, arranca con eso.
That's the way. 305. 305. That's right. Where champions rise. 305 with champions rise. Come on. 305 with champions rise. I want everybody out there to say it. 305 with champions rise. And this is how we do it right here. Here we go now. Don't forget it, DJ Fate, 305 Fights, where champions rise. Represent MIA, this is the history, this is the culture. This is how we do it. Let's bring it back, let's bring it back. Come on, come on. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Don't forget it, 305 Fights, DJ Fate.
Fight Miami, the champion league.